youtube.com/openupyourmind101.
I've traveled all over the country. The interview that you and I did also ended up in my book, Analytics, that I came out with, 20 years of conversations and interviews with Public Enemy's Minister of Information, Professor Griff. The book is called Analytics, and, you can get the book. Just call me, 678-557-2919. That's 678-557-2919. Or you can go online and just Google my name or just put in Analytics, ANALYTIXZ. And the book will come up, and you can order the book online. I put our interview in there simply because I think what we laid out at that particular time set the tone for the things that I was talking about. And I thought you and I had put a cap on it, but really that was only the beginning. The things that I've spoke about since then, dealing with the Illuminati and dealing with the Illuminati takeover of hip-hop, is very critical. I ended up on the Jamie Foxx show on XM Radio. I traveled, up and down, to and fro in America, and at the behest of people that invited me that thought that people need to hear the message. But also, I suffered my house being burned down while I was doing a lecture at Long Island University in New York. So it's bittersweet, man. It's bittersweet, but I survived it. I traveled to the West Coast, San Diego, L.A., and a few other places, and ended up getting the car window shot out of the car that I was traveling in. A few months later, they caught the gentleman, and he's in jail now. But nonetheless, these are the things that's been happening since you asked.
Oh, brother, I'm so glad you are right, because we already lost two giants, over 10 years ago, and it's funny that after all this time, nobody still hasn't caught their assassins. I have my own opinions about that and who might be behind their killings, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, brother, when you told me windows being shot out and houses being burned down, it sent chills down my spine, because we don't need to lose any more soldiers. It's
Right.
got to stop somewhere. Because you've been out here too long. Brother Chuck, y'all started all of this back in the 80s. Y'all played a very big part in waking me up, waking the hood up. Because back then, everybody was walking around in the days, shooting each other and getting high, But then, when Public Enemy hit the radio, they began to listen. Everybody began to listen. And then I noticed there was a slight change in the mentality of the brothers and sisters on the street. And one of the biggest losses, in my estimation, was when Public Enemy was no longer kicking the way that it used to. Because once Public Enemy stopped throwing down, then you see what happened. We're looking at it today. That's why I can understand you being so critical of what's going on out there today, because I, too, am very critical of it.
It's just sad that we could not have followed through to galvanize the energy, because young people still wanted to get fed.
Oh, man. Sometimes those things happen. Some people, they really don't want to bring the knowledge, brother. They basically just want to start drama. And what really hurts my heart a lot of times is that when I look at our people, it seems like, unfortunately, that's what many of us gravitate to. They want to see beef, rather than peace. Apparently it seems like nobody learned from what happened to Pac and what happened to Biggie. Okay.
Right.
So, we got to leave that drama alone, because a lot of times, drama escalates, and people end up losing their lives, and it's not worth it. There's enough out here for everybody. But, yeah, brother, I got to get that book, Analytics. I had no idea that our first interview was in that book. But, yeah, brother, you got another book coming out that you're working on another one, the psychological covert war on the hip hop. Yeah, let's build on that a little bit, because I know you're still working on it, but basically, you know, if it's anything like the first book, and I didn't get it yet, but I'm going to get it. But I've heard others talking about it, and if it's anything like the first book, then yeah, I want us to start putting word on the street now. You know, just the name alone, the psychological covert war on hip hop. Tell us what's coming in that book, brother.
Well, the psychological covert war on hip hop was a book that I did before analytics, but I lost the book in the fire when my computer burned up. So then again, maybe that was a blessing in disguise, because, you know, fire is purification. And when I reapproached the book, other things came to me that I didn't even think to put in the book. So maybe it was a blessing in disguise that I lost the first drafts, you know, of the book. And I just want people to know that's waiting for the book. You know, it's definitely a serious labor, man, putting this together, because it's not your average book. I can't just go up on the internet and pull down stuff and cleverly craft some things together. It takes research on and offline. It takes me talking to my elders. It takes me having conversations, you know, whether I call red pill, blue pill, whether I got to go up to New York, get some information from Sonetta, or whether I got to call Black Dot or sit with Professor Smalls, or just go to the old school cats, or call up some of my good white friends, as I always say in my lecture, and ask some of them, or dig up some Jordan Maxwell or Michael Tessarian or David Icke or whatever. It's definitely a high form of alchemy putting this together, because, you know, I keep the target audience in the front of my mind as I'm writing. As I pick up the pen and put it to the pad and turn on my laptop, you know, I have to keep my people in mind, and that's how I'm putting it together. So the psychological covert war on hip hop, if I could just explain it briefly. Right now we're doing a 4-week class, the First World Know Thyself Classroom series, dealing with the psychological covert war on hip hop. Thanks to my good brother Jahi Muhammad at Silk, the Educational Learning Center that they have over on Fairburn Road. He opened up the doors to let me teach the class, and I'm breaking it down, but I'm dealing with the tactics and strategies to restore the communiversal spirit in black music and in black culture. So we're breaking the psychological covert war on hip-hop down to let people know that there is a war going on, and we're being attacked via the culture, via the hip-hop culture. Hip-hop meaning higher infinite power healing our people. We're being attacked, and the term psychology, as the Western world teaches it, is they say it's the study of the mind, which is not true. Psychology is the study of the soul. The psyche in ancient Kemet, as we were always taught by Dr. Richard King and Dr. Francis Cress Welsing and other people, Asa Hilliard and other brothers, Dr. Ben, Ashwa Kwesi, the psyche is the soul. And this is where they're launching their attack, their covert attack on our people via the culture on a psychological level, and they're doing it to destroy the soul. So I'm going over the tactics and strategies to kind of offset and kind of counteract this madness that's going on. So when I do call out certain incidents and certain people and that kind of thing, I don't want people to think I'm being disrespectful to those individuals. I'm just laying it out. We have to keep in mind that this is a war that's going on. And a lot of times when people hear me speak, they take it out of that context. We're actually at war for the hearts and minds of our people. So the psychological covert war should be on the bookshelf and in my hands within the next couple of weeks. And I really do apologize for those that's been waiting for. Hell, I've been waiting for it. I've been going back and forth with my editor to make sure we kind of get it right.
Oh, yes, indeed, brother. I mean, I can't wait to, old enough, I'm just a little younger than you. I'll be 49 in a couple of days, August 1st. And I remember when all of this got started, when hip-hop and rapping was just, was just a street thing before it became commercial. And the hip-hop, the rap game that I remember about was about partying and, everybody having a good time. But then somewhere along the line, it turned ugly, and I'm trying to figure out what happened, because, like I said, I come from the time, Grandmaster Flash and Houdini and the Fat Boys. Well, the Fat Boys grew up not too far from where I am right now. I literally grew up with the Fat Boys, and that was the type of Public Enemy. That was the type of music, rap music, that my generation, our generation, grew up listening to. Then all of a sudden, it got ugly. It started emphasizing violence, and that violence translated to the streets. And that's why I can so appreciate what you and Brother Black Dot are doing. I got to bring him back as well, because the powers that be who's controlling all of this, they're well aware of the fact that people are influenced by the media. Because I noticed when that movie Scarface came out, with Al Pacino, that's when drugs, the coke game, the crack game blew up in the streets. And they also are well aware of the fact that young minds are very impressionable. See, they can't see. It's harder to influence grown folks. It's harder to influence a 50-year-old man, a 49-year-old man, but it's a lot easier to influence a 15-year-old boy, a 16-year-old girl. So now what they're doing is, I think what the media is doing, especially through the music, see, they're looking at us and they're realizing that we're set in our ways. There's no convincing us. There's no influencing us. They're going after those babies. And it translated into the street. But, brother, we grew up at the same time. A lot of the names that I just called, personally. You were there as well. You were at the forefront. What happened? How did everything go from throw your hands up in the air and wave them till you just don't care to, bitch, better have my money?
Well, I think if you're separating hip hop culture from what black people deal with every day living in America, being held hostage in America, kidnapped from our motherland and dragged in the holds of ships and brought to America through the Virgin Islands, and through a 64-year period, we were robbed of a name, language, culture, God, and religion. So, but by the time we get to this point in 2011, moving into 2012, we can honestly look back and look at black people's struggle from the time we came in contact with these people on the continent to now. Things have always been difficult for black people. If you look in the history of black music, we've always struggled. This is the basis of some of the most popular songs ever recorded. Black people, even with gospel, jazz, rock and roll, rhythm and blues, classical soul music, reggae. So hip hop is a blues. So hip hop is not outside of that struggle, that experience. Hip hop is right smack dab in the middle of it, simply because we took all those genres of music and we used and stood on the shoulders of those greats that came before us, and we made our music. The beautiful thing about hip hop is the fact that it includes all of those other genres of music. So the problem has existed a long time ago, before hip hop. I think what happened was hip hop came on the scene and answered and gave some of the solutions and an outlet to some of those particular problems and issues. I was having this conversation about an hour ago with Ron DeVoe from Belle Biv DeVoe from New Edition. And Ronnie told me that it's very difficult to be in the position he's in, because when they put out Poison, you know, it reminds him of some of the songs that Ludacris puts out. So he puts himself and his group almost in the same boat. He says, but they're not in that mode. So I asked him, what did he mean by that? He was basically saying they're not in that mode simply because, you know, those are not the kind of guys that push the low vibration that we hear in black music. They were truly about making songs, number one, to perfect their art form and to express their art form. Number two, yeah, to make a little money. But number three, they wanted to express themselves and put their music out there, but they wanted to tell their story to their peers from where they come from. You know, Orchard Park, from Boston. You understand what I'm saying? So they told their story, and I understood what he was saying. And then we went into other conversations about the fantasy that we constantly have, and these fans believing in us and mimicking us and following us. And we talked about having a heavy responsibility. And so we started breaking down the responsibility, the ability to respond. We just can't make the records, put the information out there, degrade the women, talk about low vibration things that are happening in black music, then make our money, walk away, and act like we're not responsible for it. We're held directly responsible for it. This is why in the course outline of my book, The Psychological Covert War on Hip-Hop, dealing with the course syllabus, rather, the objectives that I deal with is to understand the historical and political significance of the cultural revolution through the lens of hip-hop. Then we go on to talk about the development of a foundational, comprehensive, and metaphysical understanding on how we should deal with hip-hop by putting the black woman and just women in general back on the throne in hip-hop to balance out the madness. We also identify the hidden symbols that are coming up in hip-hop because these hidden symbols affect the subconscious mind, and they manipulate the subconscious mind, which most of these symbols are stolen from traditional African symbols and in cosmology and African spiritual systems. We go on to talk about and expose the hidden organizations responsible for this covert war, this psychological covert war, this war that's going on to attack the soul via the culture. We go on to talk about and to extract the fundamental working solutions towards subverting further psychological control and manipulation of the masses of the people, be it through the culture, the educational system, the political system, or what have you. So we deal with all of these things in depth. Now, whether you come to the class or you get the class later on DVD, nonetheless, we have to study these things in order to prevent these things from happening again. So when you talk about what happened to hip-hop, where did hip-hop go wrong? How was hip-hop subverted? How did the culture bandits come in? Well, we can relate that question to brothers and sisters that study ancient Kemet. I hear young people all the time, well, our ancestors must have done something wrong. They let these demons and these devils come in and subject them to this and control them and put us into slavery. And I politely have to slow the young people down and say, listen, you have to study history. You have to study history. A lot of these internet gangsters and these cyber thugs, they watch a couple of YouTube clips and all of a sudden they become doctors and professors and scholars. You understand what I'm saying? I'm just saying, oh, young brother, slow down, get a basic black history up under your belt, and then let's sit down and understand what happened to our people. You see, one very clear example I could give the young brothers and sisters is this, that we weren't prepared for what happened to us. We didn't build jails and old folks' homes and prisons and build armies and this kind of thing before we met our open enemy. Are you following me? There was no need for it.
Sure.
There was no need for us to build an old folks' home because we weren't the people to put out our elders in old folks' homes. There wasn't a need. There wasn't a need to make prisons. There wasn't a need to make jails. Hell, there wasn't a need to make handcuffs and all of these things that we presently see. What's going on? There wasn't a need for it because we didn't face that kind of drama and that kind of turmoil. It wasn't until after invasions and the invaders came in and we seen that we needed to arm ourselves to defend ourselves. Then and only then the spirit of warriorhood came up in both men and women when we had to defend ourselves and defend our people and defend our culture and our way of life. So we weren't prepared for that. So we have to understand particular things by studying history. Not only the writers from America, you have to study the writers from off of the continent. We have to study the writers that came in contact with our oppressor from different parts of the globe. Writers from Brazil, and brothers and sisters from Brazil and the Virgin Islands that came in contact with our open enemy. We have to study different writers and different history to figure out the tactics and strategies that we should be using today before you get on Facebook and these other mediums on the internet attacking Professor Griff, which I think is insane. I think they do it without having knowledge. These cats will threaten me on the internet, on Facebook, and I try to tell them, I said, you might want to chill with that because, Facebook is ran by the government. You look up the Department of Defense, they list Facebook as one of the places they use to gather information. Steve Coakley taught us this lesson a long time ago of connecting the dots. These spy organizations that collect data on black people. Facebook is one of them. So, brothers and sisters, if y'all want to bang, don't bang on Facebook. You understand what I'm saying? Everyone has my phone number. It's easy to call Professor Griff to have a dialogue with me, and we can sit down and we can hash these things out. But some of them feel that they're big and bad enough to talk smack over Facebook and the internet. One brother even went so far as to say when he see me, he going to slap the ish out of me. Well, I don't know what makes him think he can do that and get away with it. Are you following me?
I mean, yes, sir.
All because we have a difference in what happened at what date in history. You gonna attack me physically, and you want to do harm? That's childish, man. But I just want to let people know that's listening. I will defend myself like I've always defended myself. When I come and I say what I say in reference to whatever it is, I do it from a place of love. Anyone that's listening to me right now that have ever called me, they know that's where that's coming from. And people have called me, 5 o'clock in the morning, to 12, 1 o'clock at night. Sometimes 2 in the morning, I still answer the phone. I still have a dialogue with them. So we need to be
personally attest to that.
Pardon me?
I can personally attest to that. Just about every time I've called you, we've dialogued. You're never too busy.
Right. I always take time out for my people. You understand what I'm saying? Even the ones that call me and want to curse me out, I don't mind. I don't mind. This is why I put my phone number out there. I've even tried to reach out to some of the people that have actually said these things about me so I can reach out and we can talk. But I think all they want to do is talk. They don't want to come to some kind of conflict resolution.
Yes, indeed.
But anyway.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, but I mean, that's one of the things that, that has really irked me with our people, Griff. I mean, we don't know how to agree to disagree. It always has to erupt into violence. I mean, once again, didn't we learn from what happened to Biggie and Pac? I mean, something that started so small ended up with two of the biggest names in the game who were well on their way to taking over the game, struck down over some petty beef. I mean, when are we going to learn? Go ahead, brother.
I think that was exacerbated by a hidden hand. They exacerbated.
Absolutely.
And that order came down from on top to assassinate those brothers. All we have to do is study the Hegelian dialectic principle. problem, reaction, solution to understand how that went down. And then when the smoke clears, we can see who benefited from it, and we know who to point the finger at. You understand what I'm saying? So it's not hard to figure out. Some of the people have actually came forward and told some personal things that went down. So, but we so quick to forget that we're dealing with an age-old enemy. He's been at war ever since he's been on the planet. For someone to fight 100 years war with themselves, that should tell you something about a people. Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
So these people have been at war ever since we've been on the planet. You cannot, and the people listening to me cannot name a time ever in history that these people were not at war with us. They haven't taken a break yet. They've always been fighting. So we have to understand these particular dynamics as we go into trying to understand hip-hop and what went wrong. Black Dot lays it out very beautifully, not only in his book, but he lays it out in his lectures where he talks about the matrix of hip-hop. When the matrix of hip-hop subverted hip-hop, they made everybody plug into the matrix. And he basically says, so if Rakim was the God MC in hip-hop, then in the matrix of hip-hop, who was the God in the matrix of hip-hop? You'd have to point at Biggie. You'd have to point at Eminem. You have to point at some of these cats. Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
Unplug from the matrix, and you'd have to honestly say, okay. You see, Black Dot teaches in the matrix, they have to worry about how many units they sell. They have to worry about they don't have to worry about lyrical content. All they have to do is stay plugged into the matrix, and whatever the other MC is saying, let me say the same thing, but say it different or like him, not different. Let me say it just like him, and let me just plug into the matrix and make my money. In hip hop, we didn't do that. It was peace, love, unity, and having fun, based on the 4 fundamental elements of hip hop. If we made money from it, beautiful. We love that. But even if we didn't go so far as to steal someone else's music or their style in order to make money. We didn't go so far as to call our women out, to talk about grandma, to talk about bringing bricks in, to talk about spinning rims, to talk about all of this other madness that you don't do to make money. See, you're in the matrix of hip-hop. In hip-hop, we didn't do that. And a lot of the cats that are coming up, the younger cats that are coming up now, once again, don't study history, don't study the 10-year-old tradition of hip-hop, and they get it twisted. I was putting a lecture entitled The Miseducation of the Conscious Negro. Because there's a lot of people walking around claiming that they're conscious, but they're not conscious at all. Matter of fact, I should have called it The Miseducation of the Unconscious Negro.
Oh, teach.
Because there's some basic things, if you're going to claim that you're conscious, there's just some basic writers and authors that we should know about. I mean, it's just simple, and it's almost as simple, as ABC. If you're going to claim that you're conscious, right, then there's a few people that we have to know about. You cannot come on the scene claiming that you're conscious because you watched a couple of YouTube clips and you don't know who Dr. Ben is. We affectionately call him Dr. Ben. Mm-hmm. You have to know who Ivan Van Sertima is. Jeez. You have to know who John Henry Clark is. Are you following me? You have to know who these writers are and what they taught. I had the pleasure of sitting at their feet. You have to know who Professor Scobie. You have to know Professor Smalls and Professor Simmons. So we have to know who these people are. And then we have to know who their students are. We have to know the Amos Wilsons, the Runoko Rashidis, Ashwa Kwasis. We have to know the Dr. Francis Cress Welsings, the Naeem Akbar. And we can't rule out the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Marcus Garvey, Noble Drew Ali. We can't rule these people out. Are you following me? We have to include and know the work of Anthony Browder. And regardless of whether you agree or disagree with the methodology of Dr. Martin Luther King, you have to know that history.
That's right.
We have to know what the Black Panther Party did and what they established in order to respect the new Black Panther Party. Are you following me? And all the other organizations that spring from that. You have to know who Noble Drew Ali is in order to appreciate what the Moors and the Hebrew Israelites and all the other organizations that are coming forth doing what the beautiful work that they're doing. But if you don't know the history and you haven't studied, you and I may get into an argument about something very, very, very petty. And because you haven't studied for more than half of your life, like I have, if you haven't been to the military, if you haven't been through the police academy, if you haven't been through martial arts training and operated in revolutionary circles and organizations like I have, then you might think you're tough enough to come against somebody like me and my people and think you might win.
Cheats, Griff.
But we old enough to humble ourselves because we know you young and dumb. So we have to understand these particular dynamics. You know, as we move forward, understand where we are in dealing with our open enemy.
Yes, sir. I mean, one of the things that really baffled me, okay, in addition to, Pac and Biggie going down, what really shook me was when Brother Jam Master Jay went down. Now, from what I understand, okay, Pac and Biggie, they were pretty active in the game. They were on their way to the top. But Run DMC more or less had faded into the background. They had gotten older like we all do, and they weren't as much in the public eye as they used to. Because, I mean, we all got older. Run DMC had their time. They was out there rocking pretty much at the same time Public Enemy was rocking. So, as time went on, we all got older and we all took different paths. And I always wanted to ask you, because I know you plugged in, brother. You have inside. Like I said, I don't get my information from YouTube. Unfortunately, many people of this generation do. But in the Jam Master Jay situation, to the best, whether it's opinion or whether it's fact, what could have possibly happened in that situation that led to his demise?
I think, like all of us have to do, we have to survive day to day, and we don't know the day-to-day dealings of what Jam Master Jay had to go through to feed his wife and his family on a day-to-day basis. I do believe that there are some people, some well-known people, that was connected to Jam Master Jay that we'll probably never ever know about what kind of business deals that Jam Master Jay, how many irons he had in the fire, so to speak, and who he was dealing with in the music industry and in the street and in his personal life. So we don't know those things, unless we can sit down with the people that was around Jam Master Jay, and unless these people come forth and speak to us, we will never know. We can speculate. But a lot of times, if we're having this conversation, Curtis, and you know as well as I do, once we say it and the arrow leaves the bow, young people may take it as though it's fact and pass it on without doing the research. That's how come I'm very careful about what I say. I was very touched when I found that Jam Master Jay had been murdered. Then come to find out after doing the research, certain people that are operating in the music industry now were not directly responsible for it, but knew that something like that may have been coming down the pipe. So when you read certain books written by certain people, of course you can get glimpses and hints of some of the things that were about to take place. Like I said earlier, when the smoke clears, you'll see who's standing, and you'll say, okay, that's the person we might need to question.
Yes, indeed. because I was watching, not watching, but I was listening to, another program here on Blog Talk Radio. The name escapes me at present, but a brother by the name of Mark Curry, who just released a book as well, talking about, what's going on with hip-hop and the rap game at present, said some pretty scathing things about P. Diddy and some of the things that was going on. And one of the things that I had questioned is that, and especially from following your work, following you and Black Dot, it really gave me an insight as to what really goes on in the music industry and why it might have led to the demise of many talented people in the industry, Michael Jackson, and most recently Amy Winehouse, and so on and so forth. It's an industry that devours you if you don't really stand on your square. But I noticed, throughout that whole episode, it seems like, P. Diddy, he managed to survive and even managed to get larger and larger and larger. And I noticed, Suge Knight on the other side basically now has become a footnote. At one time, Death Row Records was really a powerhouse out there on the West Coast. And I just came from L.A., and in this particular instance, in your estimation, why was Bad Boy able to survive and Death Row fell by the wayside?
Well, according to John Patash in his book, The FBI's War on Tupac Shakur and Black Leadership, we know and understand that Death Row Records was inundated, man. It was just laced with agents and police officers that were doing dirt.
What?
Oh, yes, that's not a secret. You sound like you surprised. Shit. Excuse my language. You sound like you surprised. Nothing in this surprises me today. Read John Patash's book, The FBI's War on Tupac Shakur and Black Leadership, by John Patash. Inside of the book, he talks about, matter of fact, he received and dug up, I believe, over 50 pages in the book of FBI documents and footnotes that he got from the FBI. So they actually admitted one of the lawyers that was handling Tupac was an agent. Are you following me? That's no different than what's going on in the Black Panther Party and with other leaders that came up to speak for the hurting masses of black people and speak truth to power. John Patash laid it out when he talks about the U.S. intelligence murderous targeting of Tupac, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Black Panther Party, Hendrix, Bob Marley, rappers, and linked ethnic leftists. He connected the dots between the incarceration of Mumia Abu-Jamal and the incarceration of Geronimo Pratt. It's the same program. He connected the murders and assassinations of Malcolm X and Dr. King with Biggie and Tupac, the murder of Jimi Hendrix, Peter Tosh, and other brothers and sisters that were speaking for the hurt masses of black people. So it's no secret that the agents and agent provocateurs were there at Death Row Records. Have you read the book Ruthless, a memoir by Jerry Heller?
No, I didn't get a chance. I've heard of it, but I haven't got a chance to read it.
The book will blow your mind. Some of the things that we hear as rumor and hearsay, these things were actually happening. And to give Mark Carey the credit that he rightfully deserves, Mark Carey's book is no drop in the bucket, man. When you really go through the pages and what this brother was saying, what was going on in Bad Boy Records, some of these things was blowing my mind. He actually said in the book how Puff burned the bad boys of hip-hop. The name of the book is Dancing with the Devil. What does this mean? What did Mark Carey mean when he wrote this?
Damn.
We have to dive into these things and become avid readers and sit down and decode these things, as Black Dot said that we should do. Decode these things. Steve Coakley said, connect the dots. And it's not hard to tell. It's not hard to figure out who's who. So when you talk about what happened to Jam Master Jay, all you have to do is read some things out of Russell Simmons' book, Life and Death. Then go back to what Del Jones wrote in the book Culture Bandits 1, 2, and 3. So the information is there. It's just that we're not reading and we're not having dialogue like you and I are having right now in order to put the pieces together and to figure out who's who and who will stand to gain if a Tupac and Biggie got taken out of here. Who would stand to gain if Jam Master Jay got taken out of here? Who would stand to gain if someone took Professor Griff out of here and removed him from Public Enemy? We have these particular dynamics, as I say once again. We have to become avid readers, and we have to connect the dots, man, and let the chips fall where they may.
Oh,
so
yeah. I totally agree.
If we don't understand black nationalism and the revolution in music, just that information alone will let us understand and know and understand what the brothers that were playing jazz. We don't understand Sun Ra's cry of jazz and the struggles that he said the jazz artists went through in order to fight racism, white supremacy, and oppression and being locked out of clubs and this kind of thing. We won't understand what's going on in hip-hop, hell.
That's right. You know, I mean, that's why. Go ahead, brother.
History is there for us to reward ourselves with the rich, beautiful history that our people have actually lived, or we cannot repeat history. We can't keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again. I understand what Thessalonians Monk and John Coltrane and Miles Davis went through. That's how come I can appreciate the music today. When Guru samples those brothers and he comes up with the fusion with hip-hop and jazz. I understand that because I've read, I've studied, I've had those conversations. I've met the MC Ashanti Juniors when he talked about it's bigger than hip-hop. I've met these brothers and sat down and had a chance to question them and talk to them.
Yes, I mean, that's why I can so appreciate, and I mean, admittedly, you know, I just recently, you know, came upon this sister. I mean, she's right down there with you, Sister Aisha Sekhmet. And
well, I'm not going to speak on it. Let's change the subject on that. I don't want to use foul language on your show.
Hey, brother, this is a Coast Science Radio. You know how we do. This ain't the Steve Harvey show.
Not gonna have I had to call my dogs off.
But I feel, you know. But, you know, you know, just to give a brief synopsis, I peeped, you know, a bit of the sister's words, and it appears she's trying. You know, I mean, but you know better than me.
Yeah, we'll give her that credit, but I had a personal meeting with the sister at my studio, and I told her, you're going to come. These are some of the things you might want to consider. Now, brother, that was the time for a younger woman to respect an elder and say, you know something, what the brother is saying to me, I probably need to think about this, and I probably need to reapproach these things. What did she do? She turned around and made a song disrespecting certain elders and speaking out of line and out of place, which I just said that's just not cool. I didn't come after her. I didn't talk about her or whatever. It wasn't until I was attacked by a brother from the West Coast that I seen comments under the comments that he made about me on YouTube, and the sister in a slick way calling me out of my name and just basically, you know, just calling me out. And I'm like, that's not cool. That's not cool. And the sad part about it, I want people to know it ain't me. If it was left up to me, she'd be licking bottom of daisies. You understand what I'm saying? But my people was like, look, man, we could go talk to her sister. We see her. We know where she lives. We know where she at. I'm like, leave that sister alone. We're going to leave her alone to the point where she grow into a deeper understanding of what she deal with. And I hope she does. But for you to call me out, me names, that's not going to further your career. And the beautiful thing about who I roll with, you see, you don't know who I roll with. We don't take pictures with guns and all kind of stuff and put it up on YouTube and Facebook. You don't know who my people are. So my message to her and people like her, make your music. You know where I'm at. You got my phone number. If you need help making your music, I'll help you out. But what you have to do, you have to be careful on the information that you put out there, simply because some of these people that you defame and you talk about have actually kicked down certain doors for us to be in the position that we're in. And we owe them at least that much we owe them. This sister just outright called me an Alex Jones nigga. First of all, I'm not a nigga. And definitely I'm not Alex Jones's nigga.
Oh, man.
But anyway, if she's listening and she want to talk to me, my number is 678-557-2919. I think the sister, as I told her in the private meeting we had, I said, I think she got skills. I think she got courage. She has heart to do what she does. Just study and be careful, because these words take on a life of their own. Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
They take on a life of their own, and we have to be careful because, like I keep saying, once that arrow leaves the bow, once the bullet leaves the gun, you can't call it back.
Teach, brother.
And we have to be careful. My elder taught me this recently. Just be careful who we agitate. Don't agitate people to the degree where you can't exist in this world. You can't go nowhere. You can't function. You can't protect your children because you don't know who we know. Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
In other words, my drunk uncle used to tell me, since he thought that in my little young age, knowing karate, you know how you coming up in your teens, you think you're invincible. He says, don't write a check that your ass can't.
Words of wisdom.
Man, I took that and I ran with that, and I said, you know something, you're right. Let me be mindful of the words that I use and the kind of people that I kind of talk about and information that I put out there. Definitely. But we're going to leave that alone. Let the sister do what she do. We're going to do what we do. And hopefully she'll grow to the point where we can come and have a meeting of the minds. And because we need sisters like that, to be honest with you, brother.
Oh, yes.
She's a warrior. You understand what I'm saying? And we already recognize the fact that she's a warrior. She just needs to be guided. And
right.
The African proverb is old men for counsel and young men for war. I'm willing to sit back and take my seat at the table of elders, young elders, and say, listen, sister, you might not want to make that move. Try making this move. And then you got the support of the elders, the community, other warriors that are on the front lines with you. And you got the spirit of the ancestors with you. But, you have to come in line with that spirit. You see, that is the principle of Ma'at. Truth, balance, justice, reciprocity, and order.
Jeez.
And we have to keep things in order. I have to submit. She has to submit. Curtis has to submit. Right or wrong?
You're absolutely right, brother.
It is what it is, man. It is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, just like somebody here in the chat room, brother, I see that's one of the things that has bothered me, as I advance, in years, that there's a disconnection between the young and the elders. Somebody here just paid you the ultimate respect. Griff is a 7-star general. He has been putting in work for several decades. We must respect our elders. There it is.
Get that, and I really appreciate that, because if I sat on this phone and told you my life story, which I haven't told anyone yet, people would have to sit back and say, wow, I didn't know that happened to you. I didn't know you experienced that. I didn't know these things were going on in your life. For me to tell that story and then to see how I operate in the public and among people and allow people to have access to me any time of the day or night, people come up to me and say, how you do it? And you still looking 35. You understand what I'm saying? With no gray hair, not a whole bunch of wrinkles and lines on my face either, because I'm not going to worry about it. You understand what I'm saying? Simply because when you know and understand the God self and you call on the spirit of the ancestors to guide your deeds and to guide your words, you don't worry about somebody on Facebook talking smack. You don't worry about that stuff. There's warriors seen and unseen that are around me that's going to take care of that. I don't worry about that, man. Just the whole idea, man, of the brothers that I used to train coming out of prison. Just the whole idea of me putting together the S1Ws should teach people a valuable lesson. I train killers. This ain't no lightweight thing we dealing with. Yo, so Professor Griff, so you saying all that you saying, how come they ain't try to kill you yet? Come on, young brother, stop that. How do you know they haven't? You weren't there when I was poisoned. You weren't there when I was shot at. You weren't there when I was physically attacked. But I'm saying all that, Curtis, to say this, that them young brothers and sisters coming up with knowledge of self and want to speak truth to power and speak and raise the conscious level of our people, the same thing is due to them. It's coming.
Oh, yes.
I tell time when they come to get me tonight, they coming for Curtis Davis in the morning.
Teach.
We have to understand this particular dynamic. All those that speak and are able to move the masses of our people in the way that we do, they're not going to let us roam the street too much longer. You know that.
That's right. That's right.
They come up with chemical and biological warfare agents and programs every single day. Every single day. And their work is easier now because we give them all the information on Twitter and Facebook. They already know to connect. But anyway, if you want to open up the lines and so I can kind of deal with on some people's minds, I don't mind.
I'm going to get ready to do that right now, brother. And, anybody that has a question, now's the time to call in. We're going to take our first caller from the 206 area code. Caller, if you're there, state your name and where you're calling from.
Hello, this is John. I'm from Seattle. What's up?
Yeah,
hey,
John,
how you doing, brother?
I'm good. How are you?
All right.
Doing good.
All right. Thank you very much for having me on here. Peace, Curtis. Peace, Professor Griff.
Peace.
I just had a quick question.
Peace.
It's definitely an honor being on here. Thank you very much. Again, I was just wondering if, for Griff, about those current tragic Norway attacks, and if you had any information on that, those were planned, like staged terror events. Like, I mean, what's the magnitude of that? Like, are they starting to turn the police state they created back on us now?
Well, we have to understand something, John, and it's what we've always said. Alex Jones has said it. Jordan Maxwell have said it. Steve Coakley have said it. A few of the elders that I stay in touch with, we've all have said the same thing. You see, when we talk about these concepts like the Hegelian dialectic principle, a lot of people think that these are just concepts that we're throwing out there that are outdated. They're very real.
Definitely.
They create a problem. They build up so much mass hysteria surrounding the problem, causing the people to react. And then when the people react, the people have to turn back to the government to get the solution. Problem, reaction, solution. The Hegelian dialectic principle. And that's exactly what's going on. They want you to live in a state of fear. And they want you to call on the government to come protect you so they can put in place new laws that will further limit your mobility, limit your thinking, limit your access, keep you broke, keep you hungry.
True.
This is the plan. When I heard about Norway, I said to myself, oh, I see. They allow certain things to go down and allow a certain amount of people to get murdered and get killed. And then they say, look at that. You see? Now we have to cut down on gun control. We have to step it up on gun control.
Yeah, are they going to start putting, like, Americans on no-fly lists, no-gun-buy lists and all that now?
Brother, listen, man, you're talking to one of them. You
no
talking
shit,
to
right?
one.
Excuse me.
The country. This is real. This ain't no play stuff. You talking to someone that can't leave a country. You talking to someone who they called in and took my passport.
I want to let you guys get some other callers on here. Thank you very much for having me, though.
Thank you. I just wanted to say.
Thank you for calling.
I just want to say that Alex Jones has information on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. Red Pill and his brother Blue Pill laid out some information about the Crusades and what George Bush really meant. So when these kind of things go down, there's segments of the society and groups of people that will come together to try to set some of this stuff off. Some of them are paid agents. You understand what I'm saying? Some of them are deputized by secret factions. Some of them are paid agents by secret societies. Some of them are going through rituals. We have to keep these. Every year they have to spill a certain amount of blood. May 1st, this year, they went through 2-3 major rituals. The Osama bin Laden thing was a ritual. In May 1st, because May 1st is the birth date of the Illuminati, dealing with Adam Weishaupt. And when people hear this, oh, here we go, about to talk about the Illuminati thing again. No, we need to understand that he was a Jesuit-trained professor of canon law. You understand what I'm saying? He was trained by the Jesuits. Now we need to write that down, and we need to say, now, wait a minute, stop right there, Professor Griff. Who are the Jesuits? And if the Jesuits is the armed force of the Vatican, then we need to look into the Vatican assassins. And there's a book entitled Vatican Assassins that we need to look into and we need to read. Now, I don't want to be unscholarly here. Let me give you the author's name of the Vatican Assassins. There's a DVD out and a book called The Vatican Assassins by Eric John Phelps. Eric John Phelps, The Vatican Assassins. So these things are not foreign to us. These things are very well known to us. And when we see them go down, we put it in its proper perspective and we understand it. I'll take the next call.
Okay. And let's see who we got here next. We are taking our next caller from the 248 area code. Caller, if you're there, please state your name and where you're calling from.
Yeah, this is Black Zulu coming out of Detroit. Peace to brothers.
Peace, brother.
Peace.
All right. Hey, what's up, Griff?
How you feel, good brother?
I'm good, brother. This is a pleasure. It's like, I'm just walking at 14, listening to PE, and I'm talking to Griff right now. It's real.
All right.
I just want to pay my homage and respect due to you, brother, because, man, you opened my eyes so heavy. I just really started getting into the science like a year ago, man. You know
okay.
I was building with the brother Seti, going to his lectures, you know what I'm saying, and man, my eyes was wide open to this right now, man. I had
the pleasure of having a conversation with Seti when a little bit of turmoil went down with people thinking that I disrespected the John Henry Clark, and I had to set that straight with the people, and I had a beautiful conversation with Seti, and we exchanged numbers, and I said, well, listen, man, if you hear anything, listen, I'm a brother that love my people, but I'm not beyond reproach. You understand? What do I mean by that? I mean that if you hear me say something, even on this show or a further show or lecture or interview, call me and say, Griff, you said so-and-so and so-and-so, and that's not right. I got some information to give you, Griff. And then the next one I do, I'll be able to correct myself. Are you following me?
Got you.
And this is one of the things that Seti did, which I really love, honor, and respect the brother for doing. Now, I don't get wrapped up in the how Seti says things. He's a soldier. He's a warrior.
That's the one thing that really baffles me, man. It's like, all the conscious brothers, I remember having a conversation while I was at a lecture. We was at the lecture Sabir did out here with the Hidden Colors. I'm sure you probably got a hold of that documentary, saw it. I know you did, Brother Curtis, because I heard you talk about it the other day. And, the brothers was going hard on the way, and he delivered his message. I said, you got to understand, not every brother is scholarly in the sense of, you've been to school, you know how to use your grammar properly and all of that. This brother's from the streets, so he's going to reach the brothers in the streets. There's a position that everybody has to play in this so-called community. You know what I'm saying? You got the esoteric brothers. You got the brothers dealing with the chakras and all of that. I think we all need to come together and stop with the ego tripping, because that's all I see in the community is ego tripping, and nobody's making any moves to better the situation. You know what I'm saying? We got Seti out here, but that's one voice. That's one voice, and we still got brothers out here killing each other over nothing, man. Over nothing. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I just got into this, so I'm trying to figure out how do I get y'all brothers out here, and really I'm trying to find brothers out here who want to hear it. You know what I'm saying? But nobody want to hear it.
Well, I think you need to understand.
If you follow what I'm saying,
coming up in this, that like I said, I'm older, so I don't mind the way Seti talks. That's just him, and I understand that he's a warrior and he's a soldier. That's the way he delivers his thing. Fine with me, because I've been and I heard the soothsayers, I've heard the esoteric brothers and the brothers dealing with metaphysical stuff, and I've seen the brothers. All the hell they want to do is eat couscous and do yoga. I know them. I know the other brothers that they don't want to study. All they want to do is kill people. I met all of I met the sisters that all they want to do is wear locks and colorful flowers in their hair. I met all of them. And it's cool because we need all of them.
Right.
Everybody has to play their role. Are you following me? And I just want to say to you, brother, it's going to happen when it happens. I can't force the issue. You can't force the issue.
Yeah, I got brothers telling me the same thing, man. Me and this one brother, we feel it all the time, and he's like, yo, man, you can't take, you walking, that's your walk. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's not going to walk side by side. You got brothers who's going to be behind, so while them brothers is behind, you need to reach that arm out. You know what I'm saying? When they ready to grab that arm, they'll grab it. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, it's just a process. But really, I wanted to talk to you about was what was the science on how this white dude started killing cats. We didn't see anything on it, and I just wanted to hear your take on it. I heard the brother beat me to it, but I wanted to hear your take on it. Was it a ritual, and why is it that we didn't see any of the faces of the people who were killed?
I think simply because I don't want to take too much time on that, simply because I want to be able to take my time and lay that out, because if I say and make a couple of statements right now without the background history, I don't want people to get it twisted. But looking at it from after the touchdown and the football player hits the end zone and slams the ball down and goes to the bench, after everything went down, I noticed that the media had this undertone to want to blame Islam.
Right.
That kind of stuff speaks volumes to me. And when you look at a story like that, you need a reference point, good brother. So anytime you see a story, write down some of the key players, even write down where you heard it and what time you heard it. Because a lot of times the story that go out is really the real story. And a lot of times they call those stories back and those people's names back, never to be heard of again. So rather than me putting something out there, I want to be able to give you the history of it. So when I start naming names and organizations that are Illuminati controlled, it ain't a secret. You understand what I'm saying? That when I put that information out there, I want all of us to be on the same page. But I really appreciate your question, man.
But before we go to our next caller, Griff, I'm going to take a question from the chat room. Can't leave out our chat room family, because everybody can't get through on the phone. And this question is, when Griff was telling the story about Jam Master Jay, wasn't 50 Cent real close to him?
Yeah, but you see, I purposely avoided mentioning people's names simply because when you put someone's name out there, in the way we think, we tend to think that, Professor Griff said 50 Cent killed Jam Master Jay. No, I didn't say that. You understand what I'm saying? Like some people say, Professor Griff said Jay-Z is Illuminati. Stop that. I didn't say that. I didn't say that. Jay-Z is not the Illuminati. Jay-Z cannot be the Illuminati. Jay-Z is a peasant. He's a peon when it comes to who's really running and controlling things. If in the Forbes magazine, if Warren Buffett said Jay-Z will be a billionaire this year, who the hell is signing Jay-Z's check? How much money does he have? Are you following me?
Yes,
and the Illuminati, just to bring y'all up to speed and bring y'all up to date, since a lot of y'all will not read, you have to read the book, The Bloodlines of the Illuminati by Fritz Springmeier. You have to read the book to know and understand that Jay-Z cannot be a part of the Illuminati. He's controlled by the Illuminati. He's carrying out their agenda when it comes to controlling the masses and the minds of black people who look at Jay-Z as some kind of iconic father figure or some kind of iconic god. Jay-Z's bloodline is not the 13 bloodlines of the Illuminati. Jay-Z had to damn near buy his way into the blue bloods, which he talks about in his lyrics. He had to buy him a color blue. Jay-Z's name is not listed as one of the 13 bloodlines of the Illuminati. You read Tex Mars's book, The Codex Magica, which I mentioned on YouTube. The secret signs, mystery symbols, and hidden codes of the Illuminati. You have to know the code of the Illuminati. What do you have to do? Who you have to be to get in? Do y'all realize that these 13 families have incest going on in their family? They marry their distant cousins and relatives to keep it in the family, so to speak? These people are blood relatives. Jay-Z don't fit that. They may have owned some of Jay-Z's family. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
We have to get things right. And I really appreciate the question that person asked in the chat room. But 50 Cent was close to the situation. 50 Cent said it himself in the song that he put out called Ghetto Quran. He lets you know that he knew who was doing what, who was doing drugs, who shot who, and who killed who. 50 Cent said that himself. See, I don't want to say anything on this interview that would lead you to say Professor Griff 50 Cent killed Jam Master Jay. I'm not saying that. Do I think that he knew some things? Of course. He said that himself.
I see. Definitely. And we're going to take some other questions from the chat room. Well, no, we're going to go to the phone lines right now because we have some hands up, and we're going to take our next question from the 773 area code. Caller, if you're there, please state your name and where you're calling from.
Hey, Curtis. Hello. Have you got me?
Yes, we got you, sister. Peace, beloved. How are you?
I'm great, Curtis. As always, perfect show. You know what? At this point, Curtis, I'm thinking you're going to have the Most High on your show already because the guests you have on here are definitely worth it. You know, you got Umar Abdullah-Johnson. You got, this godsend Professor Griff, who probably, I'm going to put it out there, this is from Chicago. All right, Griff, maybe you need about 6 or 7 wives like Umar Abdullah-Johnson because we need to be breeding with people like you all to put some real kids out here again. But here's the thing. Now, other than the information, of course, that you dispel, which is awesome, it really beats having to listen to a lot of the people out here who are just a part of the problem, like Dedan Talbert, who does nothing but, promote a bunch of crap about women, relationships, and instead of us facing each other. Right. And also the fact that we got a lot of phonies out here on the airwaves, like Mike Basin and what is the guy with the suits? His name is Steve Harvey. I'm done with them. I'm really sick of them all. But for your information, Griff, I guess I want to go into metaphysics a little bit, because my thing is this, because I was just on Jewel Pookram's show with Delbert Blair. Now, I'm not trying to get metaphysical on you, but my question is this, Griff. With all of the information and stuff that you dispel, and the fact that black people are the only ones on the planet who are so immensely targeted, what's going on with us about what they don't want us to know about ourselves? Because the deal is this. Do you think it's jealousy in a nutshell? What is it about us that they don't want us to find out about ourselves? Let's look at white supremacy. Let's look at the jail system. Let's look at the food. Everything is geared toward keeping us away from who the hell we are. And we are supreme beings. And just to piggyback on the guy before who sounded really frustrated about the fact that when he woke up, what is the main thing you want to do? You want to bring people in here with you. Why? Because this could help us all. No one wants to hear this. Nobody wants to hear this stuff, and it's ridiculous because it benefits us all. I can't overstand an agent. What the hell is so dumb about an agent that you would go ahead and side with the one who wants to take your ass out when they get done with you? I don't get it. I don't get it. And we have got the best thing on the planet, and it's called melanin. What's wrong with us, Griff? Go ahead. You take the floor. God bless. And love you, Curtis. Man, you got it going on, Curtis. You know that? All right, I'm going to be quiet a little. Go ahead, guys.
Love you too, Precious.
Well, that sister said it, man. I mean, she said it to the point where it's hard to come behind that and say anything.
Oh, yes. Oh, isn't she precious? She always brings such powerful energy.
Yeah, but I think what we need to do is we need to understand the few little tidbits she did drop out there. We do need to understand racism, white supremacy, not just on the surface level. We need to understand, listen, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing in her book, The ISIS Papers, she's been teaching this for 40 years. That is all she teaches. Something should tell you that if she is consistent for 40 years teaching racism, white supremacy, obviously we haven't got it yet. We need to crack open her book, have study groups centered around her book, her and Neely Fuller's book, we affectionately call the Code, the Compensatory Code, and we need to sit down and understand, because Neely Fuller said if you do not understand racism, white supremacy, how it operates, how it works, anything else you think you understand will only confuse you.
Teach.
That we need to understand. Now, sister, I got in trouble recently with saying that Africa is a Johnny-come-lately term. I'm going to explain that in a minute, but right now, the basis to me saying something like that, simply because I have a timeline in front of me. I know when the term started being used and was put among our people as a collective group of people being called Africans. We know when that happened. My question is, what were we before that? So when I look into the whole idea of being black, it takes me back into the science of melanin. We know and understand the science given to us about melanin from a beautiful sister, Dr. Suzanne, who wrote the book Black Out Through Whitewash. Dr. Suzanne, Black Out Through Whitewash. She says that melanin is the chemical key to life itself. Melanin is a key ingredient in the DNA of the genes and protects the DNA nucleus. Melanin is centrally involved in controlling all mental and physical body activities. What is wrong with being black? What's wrong with being highly melanated people? It's a beautiful thing to be black because melanin is black. Melanin granules are central computers. Melanin is a brain outside the brain. and may analyze and initiate body responses and reactions without reporting to the brain. I'm going to say that one again real slow. Melanin is centrally involved in controlling all mental and physical body activities. Now listen to me, y'all. This is before Africa. This is before you call yourself Asiatic. This is before all these terms and labels and titles you like to go by. We had melanin. We were black before any of that. When we came out of the macro and the micro womb of the black mother goddess, we had melanin and we were black. Melanin, once again, is essentially involved in controlling all mental and physical body activities. Melanin granules are central computers and may analyze and initiate body responses and reaction without reporting to the brain. The lack of melanin is directly related to the malfunctioning of the central nervous system, while the presence of melanin is directly associated with the proper functioning of the central nervous system. This is why we shouldn't do drugs, because we're highly melanated people. And the drugs, the cocaine, even weed, even that stuff that you call liquor and brew, enlightened L's and all of this madness that we put in the system to destroy the system, it throws your melanin off. So when we want to be serious, we produce serotonin during the day. But we want to chill and mellow out. The melanin, the body produces melatonin so we can chill out and we can regulate the body. Highly melanated people love to wake up in the morning and kiss the sun because melanin helps you store the energy from the sun so we can regulate the temperature of the body. I'm just speaking off the top of my head right now. Are you following me?
Yes,
so
sir.
You being highly melanated people, that's what being black is about. That's why I said Africa is a Johnny-come-lately term. If you and I, Curtis, and the sister, we were in the car driving from Atlanta to New York, and we seen a sign that says New York 250 miles. Do we pull the car over, get out, and kiss the sign? No, because we're not there yet. Right or wrong?
You're absolutely right, brother.
The dynamic. Once upon a time, we weren't called Africans. Hell, I got friends right now on the continent that don't call themselves Africans. There's brothers at the Sudan, the Lost Boys, and other people never referred to themselves as Africans. Now, the history of where that term Africa come from, you can get a different version of it from 18 different people. I'm not arguing that point. But collectively, as a people around the globe, we never called ourselves Africans collectively as a people. That's a Johnny-come-lately thing, forced on us. If you meet someone from South Africa, our people are more regional than they are with this one collective kind of thing. We don't even have a collective language. There's no language called African. There's over 200 different dialects on the African continent. Africa had many names. If you watch the documentary that the brother Tariq put out called Hidden Colors, it'll teach you about the history of Africa and the different names that particular landmass had. When the Teutonic plates were together, the place was called Pangaea. So we have to understand these particular dynamics. No one was disrespecting the scholarly work that John Henry Clark put in. I would never do that. But I have to understand the truth of it all. So I really appreciate that sister dropping that information on us and introducing this conversation about melanin, which a lot of young people have no idea that this exists. But that's my take on it. I hope I satisfied the sister's question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're gonna move on down next caller. We have a caller from the 916 area code. Caller, if you're there, please state your name and where you're calling from.
Peace. This is House calling from Sacramento. Peace, Griff. Peace, host. Oh man, loving the way you putting it out there and stuff. Really don't have a question. I didn't have my hand raised, but but good looking out calling on me, put me on the air and stuff.
Okay.
I've been there for a while. Here's, open and up and seeing things for what they are, and you know, just to hear, because I'm out here in California, just to hear brothers like you put it together, you know, it's enlightening, because as in how I decode things is dealing with the body. And so, you know, just to know who's who when you're dealing with your health, it's a beautiful thing. You know, I don't want to call it metaphysics, you know, but it's just dealing with, you know, health. And yours is parallel, how you breaking down the system and who's involved and what they're doing, you know, and the effect that they're having on, you know, the world, you know. So
right.
Just want to put my add on, and you know, it's all good. It's all good out here, you know, just loving the weather, and you know.
All right, we appreciate you, man.
All right.
Thanks for calling in, brother. Much appreciated. And we're going to take our next question. This one is going to be from the chat room. What is Barack Obama's relationship to the Queen of England? Stop it, Griff. They might be new. You know, they might be new.
No, I believe.
But go ahead, brother.
I think Barack Obama has more of a connection than Jay-Z, even though they're friends and they text one another and tweet one another. But there's not a direct link, but there is a link. For me to go over the chronological order and the members of the family may be time-consuming. Curtis, I don't mind you jotting that question down along with the other brother's question about what happened in Norway and probably just a few more other questions. I don't mind coming back to do another show to answer just those questions particularly. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh, okay.
And I just don't want to slight the people. We could talk about the 13 bloodlines, and then we can talk about, and I could give you references like the Ring of Power. If you study the Ring of Power, and especially if you study Ring of Power 2, which is called Monkey Blood. Ring of Power 2, Monkey Blood, you'll get a better idea of Barack Obama's mother's role and her connection and who she's connected with, be it by adoption or affiliation or even bloodline. The same thing with Barack Obama's father. Now, Dr. Reverend Phil Valentine dropped some information along with Bobby Hemmett and some other brothers that I know that are out there that put some information out there. I would look those brothers up before we're able to have this kind of conversation. You see what happens, Curtis, is we to answer a question like that and we don't do the necessary research, the time that it would take me to break down and give you some historical foundation on some of the statements that I would like to make is very, very time-consuming. Are you following me?
Oh, yeah. Yes,
so
sir.
I don't want to be that kind of individual going into a young elder statesman kind of position. It's time out that we just putting stuff out there and leaving up to young people to fend for themselves. We have to be very thorough and very complete in our thought and very sincere in our intentions when we put information out there. Because too many people just said are out there on the radio every single day laughing and joking about serious matters. And she called the names. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Just to get a pay or to get some ratings. Are you following me? So I do want to answer those questions. I'm not avoiding them, but I want to answer them in such a way where we can extract the truth from the information that's out there. Listen, brothers and sisters, everything on the damn internet ain't true.
Teach.
You have to create formulas like cross-referencing and this kind of thing in order to understand and extract what the truth is on the internet. So it's dangerous when you read one or two articles on the internet and then you talk and repeat it as though it's fact. Hell, I read some stuff the other day about me on the internet. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, true? Some, I'm not going to call them names, but some very bright researcher, professor at a very well-established university out of North Carolina, came against me a couple of years ago. He's a researcher, and Professor Griff was supposed to speak in a couple of weeks. So 2 weeks out, he decided to do some research on Professor Griff. Guess where he went? To Wikipedia.
Where?
I'm like, dude, you don't go to Wikipedia. Anybody could put anything on Wikipedia. That shows you the level of your research when you could go to Wikipedia, and because you found out my middle name, you figure you know something about me. Stop that. That's childish.
He might as well went to the National Enquirer or Media Takeout.
Right, or TMZ.
Or TMZ, right?
They see me sipping Kool-Aid. They see me sipping Kool-Aid, trying to ink a deal to do some business. So I'm sitting across the table from the Asian woman, and they see me sipping Kool-Aid and took a picture and said Professor Griff was having a drink with his love interest. And I'm like, what? I'm like, stop that. Everyone out there that know the kind of woman that I'm interested in, and she looked like my mama. So if you ain't seen Mrs. Griffin, then y'all need to back on up, for real. But anyway, let's take the next caller, man.
Yes, sir. We're going to take our next caller from the 321 area code. Caller, if you're there, please state your name and where you're calling from.
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Peace, brother. How you doing?
Yes, Brother Griff, Brother Curtis and Brother Griff, I truly appreciate the work that you're doing. My name is Brother.
Much appreciated.
Yes, sir. My name is Brother Okumu, and I'm calling from Orlando, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. To support one thing that Brother Griff was saying about Africa and all that, a spirit led me to do some research on it and all that stuff. One thing that I discovered about the word Africa is that I haven't done too much research, but other people can do continuous research on this. Is that the word is rooted from two different. Africa is not one word; it's actually two words put together.
Right, exactly.
But the combination puts it to the meaning of cave dweller.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what the word Africa means, cave dweller. And like another spirit also, like Brother Ali Muhammad was saying, but kind of a spirit already told me that, is that Africa means also divided. Everything about the word Africa is negative. Everything I've done, research I've done on that word, is just negativity after negativity.
Well, you might need to give a little bit of history and the etymology of the word and the particular information and reference where you're getting that information from. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
I'm doing it.
You could definitely buy some etymology dictionaries and stuff like that, and then maybe old Latin, definitely old. But I haven't done too much research on it. But I'm beginning to do some research, but definitely some ancient dictionaries on ancient. A good dictionary would be what do you call? I have it right here. Let me look. 1 second, please. Hello?
Yeah, we're
here, brother.
Yeah,
we're here.
Let me look 1 second. I have the book here that you could use. Wait 1 second. Because I have a lot of books. But definitely Latin and Greek dictionaries would be very good, and also phonetic dictionaries would be very good dictionaries to find, because the word Ifrit is a Berber word, and my ancestors are from those regions, so definitely some ancient phonetic dictionaries around those dictionaries would be really good to really get a good idea of what that word really means. Around dictionaries based around the Carthaginian Phoenician era.
Okay, we really appreciate you, good brother.
Yes, sir. But everything about that word Africa, it's definitely a negative word. It means cave dweller. The word ifri is an ancient phonetic word, and it means cave. And but Ankh is not one word. It's actually two words put together.
All right. Thank you very much. All right.
Thank you. Thank you for calling in, brother. Interesting information. Thank you so much. Peace and love to you, brother. Okay, and we're going to move on. We're going to take our next question from the chat room. Here we go again, Griff. Does Professor Griff believe that Obama is the seed of Malcolm X?
Absolutely not. First of all, I don't discuss my beliefs. If you look that word up, it's a very critical word. We throw that word around too loosely. I don't discuss my beliefs, but I definitely don't believe that. Hell no. This dude was groomed, man. This dude belongs to the Council on Foreign Relations. And if you put in Myron Fagan's name in a search engine, especially on YouTube, Myron Fagan was the one that told us about the history of the Illuminati. And the history of the Illuminati, as we speak about it today in 2011, is the Council on Foreign Relations. Barack Obama is in the Council on Foreign Relations. Michelle Obama is in the Council on Foreign Relations. So, no, not the seed of Malcolm X. No, absolutely not.
I really would like to know where that rumor got started. I heard somebody say that not only was it Malcolm X, but Oprah Winfrey was also Malcolm X. YouTube. Anyway, YouTube.
And having to deal with that. Now let's move on to the next caller. I'm not entertaining that kind of stuff. That's what I'm.
But I'm going to also put a question out there myself. You know, I've heard some people have mentioned that, well, in the past, Professor Griff, he attacked John Henrik Clark, this, that, and the third. Please clarify that, because I know for a fact that you hold this particular gentleman in very high esteem, along with the other great master teachers. So please, brother, take a moment to clarify that, because I think, once again, your words were taken out of context.
I explained it earlier when I broke down the whole idea of black and melanin and the statement that when I said that the Africa the Johnny come lately term, I made that, and keeping it in context, I said that in a DVD called Analytics, a DVD that I did to support my book, Analytics, and we were talking about when John Henry Clark said that the term black is just a color, and that is absolutely incorrect. And we need to understand that none of our elders and none of their work is beyond reproach. We have to be able to get together and reapproach their work and stand on the shoulders of those brothers and put their work and their words into activation and make it a part of our daily lives, so we can not only build the individual self but the collective mindset of our people. Why would I, as a young man, why would I sit at the feet of Dr. Clark and make my way from Long Island, Roosevelt, Long Island, to go to the Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, Jersey, Philly, and other places where Dr. Clark was speaking, and sit in the audience and learn to turn around and disrespect Dr. John Henry Clark? I would never, ever do that. But do I disagree with some of the things that Dr. John Henry Clark has put out there? Of course I do. Do I put it under the microscope late at night, and do I discuss it on the phone with other brothers and sisters that I do research with? Of course I do. We all do that. I don't know about y'all, but that's something I do daily. I do that with the work of Minister Farrakhan. I do that with the work of Dr. Leonard Jeffries, Asa Hilliard. I do that with the work of Professor Smalls. We have to do that. We have to put their work under the microscope and say, okay, now let's look into this, because I don't take nothing on face value. So when I said that about John Henry Clark, somebody put some stuff out on Facebook and just kind of calling me all out of my name, and I'm saying, well, we can have a dialogue about it. I just said, no. I'm not. I don't really call myself African. That's not a term that I use. And people got so upset because they don't understand that concept. And let me put it in its proper perspective for you and keep it in context. I said that I am God having a human experience called Griff. I'm going to say that again slow. That I'm God having a human experience called Griff. In this third dimensional paradigm in which we live, I need a physical body. I'm not my body, I'm in my body. The essence that I am is directly from the Creator, Him and herself. The scripture says, "Ye are all God's children of the Most High God." There's people right now behind closed doors that worship black people as gods. This is what the DVD Hidden Colors is talking about. We're gods and goddesses. So when I come and I remind you of what the 5% Nation of Gods and Earth's speech, when I remind you about what Elijah Muhammad taught us, that we're gods of the universe, you can beg to differ with me, but do your homework and do your research. So by the time we got to me saying that Africa's a Johnny-come-lately term, we have ran through thousands and thousands and thousands of years of history before we even got to a place called Africa, to a landmass called Africa. So we need to understand that particular dynamic. I'm not stopping at this term Africa. Went through that. I had that class long time ago. Do you understand what I'm saying? The essence to you, Curtis, the essence to me, and the sister that called in, and the brothers and sisters that have called in. Everything divine in nature is in us. Let me give you all a homework assignment. Look up the 7 Hermetic principles. Excuse me?
I said, go on and teach, brother.
The 7 Hermetic principles. Just for a moment, put all this madness that you call religion on pause for a minute. And study those divine laws that govern the universe and govern those 7 spheres of consciousness. Then after you study that, then call Professor Griff, 678-557-2919. And we'll have a discussion about the evolution of this particular landmass, which is called Africa, which is our throne. But the earth, 196,940,000 square miles, is our home. We just rule it from that particular area, called by our open enemy, Africa. So I wasn't disrespecting John Clark. Dr. Ben has said himself Africa was named after the Greeks and the Romans. Other scholars have said the same thing. Study Professor Jeffrey's work and Professor Simmons' work. Call and talk to and look up Professor Smalls. He'll give you the history of this term called Africa. It was only a regional thing at best. Years and years and years, the black man and woman, we have no birth record. There was no such thing. It's called Africa when pre-dynastic Kemet. There was no such thing called Africa. We weren't calling ourselves Africans then. So if you study a chronological order of history and you look at some of the things we've done pre-dynastic Kemet, they weren't done by Africans. It was done by black people, but Africa didn't even exist yet. So we need to get that kind of straight in our heads. We're gods and goddesses. Now, I don't mind you being African on your way to becoming a god and goddess. I don't have a problem with that. But, hell, you can't stop and kiss the sign. You got to get back in the car and head to your final destination. And your final destination is to be the beautiful gods and goddesses that you are.
Jeez, brother.
Don't set it up. I can go upstairs in my library and read off the titles of some books that I study and that kind of thing, and maybe that'll satisfy their bloodthirst. I'm not sure, but I don't put this out there with envy and vengeance and hatred in my heart. I don't do that. I don't have a hatred for John Henry Clark. If it wasn't for John Henry Clark, Dr. Ben, and some of those elders that I've met up at First World in Harlem, hell, we wouldn't be having this conversation, bro. I'm going to tell you straight up.
That's right.
First world was a portal, man. It was a doorway. If nothing was going on no place else, it was going down up in Harlem at First World. There's a book by Robin Walker called When We Ruled. Please study that book, Robin Walker, When We Ruled. There's another book by Fairfield Obanga dealing with African philosophy. He translated some of the hieroglyphs into the language we now know as English, which is a bastard language. And you know, a lot of times in translations, meanings and certain things get lost. Fairfield Obanga and Acme Ra did a very beautiful job in translating the Bremerine Papyrus to get us to understand who and what we are. I know some brothers that are descendants from the Dogon, and you mention Africa to them, and they're like, who? What? No, you better start talking about the star Sirius A, B, and C, that star that sits behind the sun.
Jeez.
You follow me? So you
Absolutely.
can't to them. They're beyond and before Africa. I existed before Africa. So yeah, it's a Johnny-come-lately term. Not to be disrespectful and say it in a disrespectful way, but I just beg to differ with Dr. Clark when he says black is just a color. Oh, I beg your pardon.
Jeez, brother. As we wind down, brother, oh, yeah, you're definitely coming back, because I want to hear your take on some of the questions that were posed here this evening. And, much like yourself, I, too, am an avid researcher. Okay, so definitely I've written those questions down, and fam, Brother Griff will definitely be back. I mean, the brother told me, it just goes to show you where his heart is. Okay, he told me a few years back when I first started bringing him on Occult Science Radio, he told me, he said, brother, you always have access to me. Anytime you need me to come talk to the family, if I'm not busy, just holler at me, and I'll be there. He's here. This is like, his third or fourth time? So he'll be back. But, yeah, brother, as we wind down, once again, brother, let us know what you got going on, how we can get that book, and any other information you may want to share with the fam.
Well, people could kind of reach me directly at ProfessorGriffPE@gmail.com. That's ProfessorGriffPE@gmail.com. Or just call me directly, 678-557-2919. But just to end that conversation so I don't leave the brothers and sisters hanging, you have to study Cheikh Anta Diop's work. You have to study Ishaka Musa Barashango's work, African Genesis. And you have to study Charles Finch's work, Echoes of the Old Dark Land. A lot of these brothers are forgotten. A lot of their work just sit on the shelves, and we don't go into these brothers' work to understand and get a thorough history on not only the continent, a lot of the terminology. We need to understand the etymology to certain words, and understand that a lot of times when we call ourselves certain things, especially from the continent, that those things were regional as opposed to a collective language, which we've never, ever had. But the people can reach me. They can go to www.professorgriffinfo.wordpress.com. www.professorgriffinfo.wordpress.com. I'm one of those kind of individuals. If you email me, it may take me a minute to get back because I'm studying and doing other work. But, if you get frustrated with the email thing, just pick up the phone and call me, 678-557-2919. I'm here. I really appreciate you, and I appreciate your callers, the people that are listening, and especially the sister that dropped that information on us. I will implore that we study melanin. We study the whole idea of black, because everything comes out of that macro womb of the universe, which is black, which serves as a doorway, a portal, and a womb. Are you following me? So I understand what the Moors and other brothers trying to get their sovereignty is saying about the term black, but I don't let our open enemy define me. Are you following me? these particular definitions that other people would like to take these words and concepts and symbols and twist them around and put them back on our people, that's just not something that I buy into, not at all. So I really appreciate it to me. All right?
YouTube.com/openupyourmind101